Hello, my name is Wallace Bohanan. I'd like to tell you about my experience with the Black Panther Party from 1968 to 1969. I received insight while being a member into an organization that advocated self-defense for Black communities that had been subjected to racial violence since the end of slavery. As a returning Vietnam War veteran, I believe that armed confrontation was the answer to this racial violence. So I joined the Black Panther Party. Let me tell you a couple of short stories about my experience. There was to be a march on the United Nations seeking human rights for people of color worldwide, and here in the United States. The leadership from Oakland, California came to our headquarters in Brooklyn and asked us to march in support of freeing our leader, Huey Newton, from prison. I was selected to lead that march because of my military experience. On the march, a picture was taken. That picture appeared in newspapers and magazines. It's been on posters. It's been in history books, documentaries. And now that picture sits in the Smithsonian Institute of African American History in Washington, D.C. So I'm proud to have been part of history and for that picture to be in the Smithsonian Institute. Not long after the march on the UN, the Black Panther Party headquarters in Brooklyn was raided by the police. The 2 Panthers there were arrested. The word went out for all Black Panthers to go down to the courthouse to see what was up. When we got there, we packed that courthouse in full regalia. I asked the clerk where our brothers were. They soon brought out one of the Panthers to see the judge, and he was released. So I asked the clerk, "Where's the other Panther?" He said, "I don't know." But the released Panther said that they had both been back in the bullpen waiting to see the judge. So we demanded to see the other Panther, and we were not going to leave until they brought him out. When he was brought out before the judge, we saw that he had been beaten severely. He was still bloodied. There were knots on his head, bruises all over his face, eyes and lips were swollen. His clothing was ripped, and there were no shoes on his feet. We went into an uproar. Police backed up against the wall, put their hands on their guns. There was tension in that courthouse. The judge released him. We walked out of that courtroom shouting, "Power to the people! Black power! Off the pigs!" Yeah. So we decided we would go out and find some police to shoot later that night. Myself and 4 other Panthers cruised in my car looking for trouble. But the more we thought about it, the less we liked the idea of a shootout with police. I myself realized that my experience in the war had cured me of any desire for armed, violent conflict. So we ended up getting high and partying all night. As a Vietnam War veteran, I had seen firsthand the results of armed conflict. I have seen the destruction of communities, the ruins of lives. I did not want to see that happening in the Black communities. So I left the Black Panther Party, went to college, became a teacher. The rest is history. I hope you have learned something from this story. I know I certainly have.